Now I can go. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
What's up, guys? My name is JD Shipley, and this is Josh Wells, and this is the Barbell Calling podcast.
We're new to this, so hey, we
And awkward as hell.
yeah, it'll get better, I swear. Yeah, it will. No, so just a little purpose overview of this, guys. We get together, we talk about all the things that happen in our gym and other gyms across the nation. And there's a lot of starting strength. Sorry, yeah. Through starting strength, hell, even for that matter, other gyms, just in general.
Yeah.
But questions that always come up. Why we should do this, why we shouldn't do this. Answer those questions.
Yep.
Answer those everyday questions that people have when they come in. And yeah, so that's what we're here to do, guys.
Yeah. So Josh is the head coach of Starting Strength Katy. I own and run. We own and run the Starting Strength Houston and Katy gyms. We are we're franchisees of the Starting Strength gyms franchise, and we have people come in all the time that are interested. They understand, I think, fundamentally that strength is better, but they don't understand the urgency behind getting stronger, right? And so when we started off opening the company, I named it the Barbell Calling, because I felt a calling to help people get stronger and help people lead better lives through strength. That's actually our mission, right? And so the podcast is really just another way of fulfilling that vision. And we want to mainly address a lot of the questions that we see that kind of limit people in why in getting started. And there's a myriad of things. I said this is going to be awkward as hell. There's a bunch of stuff to go over, and we hope to spend the next really just spend this time answering those questions, and then having fun. So where do we go from here?
So let's why a starting strength? Why come to a
strength gym?
Why a starting strength gym opposed to everywhere else? And we're talking, you got 24-hour fitness, LA Fitness. I know here in Houston, Katy, we got EOS. Why go, or hell, let's even go Orange Theory, F45, things like that. Why come to us versus all these other places? What sets us apart? What we do at Starting Strength is we offer personal training at an affordable rate. I mean, that's a basic sales pitch, I guess. That's what we do. To dive even further into that, we do everything in a small group setting. We're actually here in the Katy gym right now, and we run classes about 8 to 9 people per class and one coach. And it runs an hour and a half, which seems a long time. But because we do this in a small group setting, we can get the price down to $28 a session. Now, if you go anywhere else, yeah, it's cheap. You're going to spend $40 a month or something like that.
$10 a month.
$10 a month at Planet Fitness, right? But that's just the gym membership. That's not actually getting into the gym and working with a personal trainer. That's going in and floundering your way through the workout, right? How much is it if you hire a personal trainer on top of that? Do you know?
Here locally, $80-$90 an hour.
Minimum. Being in Houston, I would argue
more than that,
there's probably
Houston proper.
Yeah, you've got people who are charging
$150-$200 an hour.
Oh God, yeah, at least. I know when I was in New York, we used to charge $225 an hour, and that was 15 years ago. And that's on the low end. People didn't even think twice about it. But so you're spending $10 to $40 a month just on the membership, and then you're going to sit there and spend, let's just say $75 for an hour for a kid that just rolled out of college, has some weekend certification, and he's going to sit there and run you through the machines, right? Say he does that 2 days a week. It's $150 on top of your monthly membership each week. Whereas you come in here, you've got a coach who's going to take you through the movement, who's going to watch everything you do from walking through the door all the way through until you leave, for 28 bucks.
The, the
28 bucks.
the real value is in access to the coach, and it's not just an access to the coach, it's an access to a world-class strength coach whose cost is spread across multiple other people, and you're training in an environment of accountability and community with those people as well. So, people who are working towards the same goal of getting stronger and being healthier through being strong. And we can cut in some B-roll later on for this, but the gyms, the the environment in the gyms is not your typical commercial gym. There's no mirrors, right? So this is, you're not going to see people flexing and posing and doing all the, getting, show prep or anything like that. This is not a meat market, right? We don't have yeah. Sorry, this is not the place to find a date. Plenty of members can, like,
You
it's not
can.
something, but at the same time, that's not the goal, right? The goal isn't to come here and be seen. The goal is to come here and train, and you're around people who are going to support you in doing that. So yeah, that's the reason why a starting strength gym. But I think this has been answered before, but we're gonna go ahead and answer it now because it's part of the discussion. But why strength? Because fundamentally, what we see, people come in and that don't have the urgency to make a change, I think, don't fundamentally understand why strength.
I mean, if we're gonna ask that question, we need to identify, like, we need to first define what is strength. And by our definition, I would say, let me take that back. As a general rule of thumb, when you think about strength, it is your ability to interact with your surroundings.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, for us,
Explain that more.
so if you are going to go outside and you're going to be, let's say, you're carrying your groceries in from the car, how many trips is that going to take you? And how many bags do you have? I mean,
Well, if you're older and frail, you're
yep.
not strong, it's going to take you a lot more than what you would do as opposed to if you were stronger and more capable. Ultimately, what strength means is improved capability. That's what I think people don't appreciate.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because, and this is why I say your interaction with your surroundings is, it's as simple as, like we've already brought up, carrying your groceries in from the car.
Getting up off the floor when you're gardening,
Yeah. Getting up off the ground, hell, like
picking your kids up.
picking your kids up. That's a big one. The one I think about constantly, and this goes back to one of our key exercises that we do, probably the most important one we do, is a squat. You got to get your ass up off the toilet. You got to squat up off the toilet every time. I want to go back and look at the statistics of it, but there's a number of people that die every year because they can't get off the toilet. They can't get off of it.
I feel like I'm dying whenever I'm on the toilet. Is that the same thing?
No, 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 no. You shouldn't be dying.
Are
You
we
should be
gonna cut that
living when
out?
you get off the toilet. No, we're not cutting that out either. But in all seriousness, like, people think of strength training just like when they walk in here, they see the barbells, they see the weights, they don't see
Scary.
any machines, they're scared.
Scary.
But what they don't think about is the results from it of, hey, I used to have to ask somebody to pick up a bag of rice, a 40-pound bag of rice. Actually happened. One of our clients went to the store and had a woman ask her to load the bag of rice, and she could do it. She could pick it up for another female. That's awesome. We see this all the time with people who just like, man, I can't put my luggage in the overhead compartment when I fly. They're too frail to do that. And they don't correlate getting stronger with a barbell with those results. That correlation it's just not there. And so that's what our job is to do, is to make that connection.
And that's part of what the podcast is for, is to get this out to more people, because what we see is that there's a lack of education. And so yes, we are starting strength coaches. Yes, this is a starting strength gym. This is not part of the starting strength podcast. This is not part of the starting strength gyms podcast, but it's meant to serve the same purpose of educating people as to why you need to get stronger. And then ultimately, if you understand that, well, then we're here to help to help serve that need. But what we're trying to do is answer that question, reinforce the importance of strength. And yes, muscles are pretty, right. The aesthetics come with, that come with being stronger. That's great. That's why a lot of people started. That was part of the reason why I wanted to get stronger. But the more and more you realize it, the more people you train, the more you realize that that is just a secondary benefit, right? It's like icing on the cake. If you follow the process diligently enough over time. But what you actually get is capability, health, and independence, right? And that's what we're fighting for. That's the real value.
Yeah.
Resilience is essentially is what we're building.
Yeah. And I liked how you said resilience on that, because the like the majority of people that come through our door, it's not, 20 and 30 something year old guys
Mm-mm.
or athletes for that matter.
Mm-mm.
It's what, mid 40s up.
Yeah, our average age in the gyms is roughly kind of the mid 42. I think we're about 60-40 male female. Some of the other gyms and across or some of the other starting strength gyms, excuse me, across the nation skew as much as 70% female with maybe even slightly older age averages. But yeah, this is if you're looking for cardio, if you're looking for hit, there's plenty of gyms for that. If you're looking for bodybuilding, there's plenty of gyms that'll do that. If you're looking for powerlifting, there's black iron gyms fairly common around, right? But for the person who is needs to get stronger, doesn't have the time to figure out all this stuff on their own, is looking for help, that market is horribly underserved, and
Yeah.
that's really the need, the gap that we step into. Get more our target demographic, and the people that are in here are 35 to 75 year old middle to high level professionals, right? People who understand the value of training with an expert, right? So, because they don't have the time to answer the question, what do I do and how do I do it? They want to cut right to the chase and get the help that they need so that they can get stronger and then make the things that they do outside the gym better, right? You've got the computer programmer, the IT guy who sits at his desk and is hunched over all day long, who's got back pain as a result of it, right? He comes in here and lo and behold, after a little while of training, things, he begins to feel better, and he's better at his job because he doesn't get as tired, he's not hurting, right? And then his family life and then his life outside the gym gets better because now he's stronger and more able to do all the stuff that he
Right.
that he wants to do outside the gym.
Yeah.
And that goes for the 60-year-old grandmother, that goes for the 55-year-old business executive, the 40-year-old single mom, right? They all benefit from being strong, and the process is generally the same. You you use four primary lifts, right? A compound lifts that work the entirety of the body, and then you add a little bit of weight over time.
Yeah.
And you add, lather, rinse, repeat, and get stronger.
So we keep hearing, like you and I've heard countless stories of changing people's lives through doing this, from the computer programmer to 78-year-old woman with Parkinson's, you name it.
Osteoporosis.
Osteoporosis, huge one. You've also got joint replacements, hip, knees. We've dealt with that. I would say predominantly we deal with back problems.
Sure.
Most of us live sedentary lifestyles. We're sitting in, especially Houston, God, who knows how many
Traffic.
hours we've sat in traffic in a car.
28,000 miles a year on my car.
Yeah. So, like, all of these things contribute to the deterioration of our bodies and our lives. And getting in here, it sucks. Like, if you guys live in a big metropolitan area, you understand that commuting 5 miles, in a small town is going to take you 5 minutes on a bad day. But in a big metropolitan area, it's going to take you, oh God, maybe an hour to get 5 miles.
Depending on where you're going.
Yeah. I know, living in Manhattan, God, you're judging your time on the train schedule. To get from North Manhattan down to Tribeca area, it might take you an hour and a half. You never know. But that time taken away from you because of transportation, that's a big deterrent for most people. So how can we get around that? And And I think honestly, it's just like, guys, like, you got to bite the bullet. You got to bite the bullet sometimes and just give it a shot. And yes, I know it sucks to sit there and be like, God, another hour and a half in a car. I got it. We deal with this all the time. But at the end of the day, you might walk into this gym feeling like absolute dog shit, but every single person leaves here feeling better than what they did when they actually came in. And that's because of the getting them in here and just going through the movements, getting the blood flow. As cheesy as it sounds, greasing up the joints, those things help. And, you might have had a shitty day. Hell, come in here, you blow off steam just because the community aspect of it,
Mhm.
things like that. So we try to make those things known to everybody. But again, it's like, it's just getting in here. That's the big thing at the end of the day, is just coming in and just committing to it.
Yep.
That's probably one of the biggest
Treating it like a
things.
doctor's appointment.
Yeah. You know, that's a good point, because if you go to the doctor, you set up an appointment. Hell, now if you miss the doctor's appointment, they charge you a late fee or a cancellation fee. And then you got to reschedule it 3 months down the line, and you're still in the same pickle you were in before. You know,
Maybe even worse if you let it go on.
that's right. Yeah. So, I mean, if heaven forbid it's an orthotic issue or something, or I mean, a joint issue or anything like that. Yeah. I mean, hey, it could be an orthotic issue. Shit.
It's very specific.
Well, there's a reason for that, but I'm not going to get onto it here. But if you're just be real. If you're on,
Is there any bourbon
no
in that
shit,
can
no.
of
I
coffee?
wish, I wish there was bourbon in this. But no, I mean, like, if you're on your feet all day and your feet hurt and you don't do anything about it, the wear and tear of that's going to ultimately cause problems. I've known people that have had like little fractures in their feet because they don't get the shit taken care of. Plantar fasciitis keeps you up all night. Now you're, sleep deprived.
Yeah.
Shit, man, you're screwed. You're
Yep.
screwed at that point. But the point being on this is, you're going to spend the time, you're going to go to the doctor, you're going to do all this shit. But are you going to get the answers that you want every time you go to the doctor? I would argue no. No, you're not. You're not going to get the answers all the time. And I know that's a big, big stretch for most people for me to sit there and say that. I'm not a doctor, but I've been through the ringer trying to figure out answers as to why I feel like crap, why I'm depressed, why I can't lose weight. Hell, I even say why low libido. I mean, all of these things. And yet the doctor sits there and gives me this big runaround. And what I needed to do instead was get off my ass, stop being lazy, get to the gym, work out, eat better, and try to get to bed on damn time.
Except for the getting the gym part, you sound like my mom.
I know, right? There's something about moms. They know this shit, man. But yeah, moms won't take their own damn advice. Sorry,
Good
Mom,
Lord,
I
if I
love you,
can't get
but
my parents to train. I'm gonna send this podcast.
I would send it to my parents, but it took me 20 years and I finally got them to train.
There you go.
So, but yeah, the point being though is, like, guys, you're willing to sacrifice so many other things to try to find an easy route to get healthier or to feel better. And instead of doing the work,
That's the crux of it, right?
and
The assumption is that there's an easier way to do it, and unfortunately, it's not.
mm-mm,
Right? There are a myriad of things that I would much rather do instead of working out. And I'm a coach, and strength training. We run gyms, and like the training is sometimes the last thing that I want to do. However, um, w- the benefit of it is, the goal, or the reason for it, anyways, is because I don't want to be at 65, 70 years old. I want to be able to to run around, do all the things that I, chase after my grandkids, and get up off the floor, and that sort of thing, and be independent enough to be able to do all the things that I can do now in my mid 40s. So that's, it's really what it is. It's so yeah, I mean, longevity, but it's delayed gratification, right? I can do the thing that, the fun thing now, or I can put that off for just a little bit and do the hard work, and then be able to enjoy myself, for the exchange of being able to enjoy a much more fulfilling and capable life later on, which will extend, and hopefully extend into longevity.
now I'm gonna play devil's advocate to
Go
that,
for it.
because I hear this all the time, and everyone they want to do things now, but they want to say, look, I'll train later. It's fine. I'll get
I used
strong.
to do the same thing.
But think of it this way. If you do it now and you don't do your training, but you do all the fun things you want to do now because you're capable now, 20 years from now, you start training. 65, right? If it's 65 years old, you start doing this. Granted, you can.
With an osteoporosis diagnosis.
Right. Osteoporosis.
High blood tension, pressure.
High blood pressure, who knows, hypertension.
Metabolic disease.
I mean, there's a whole bunch of other things, pre-diabetes. Who knows if you're going to, you'll probably lose weight. It's hard to maintain a big size,
muscle mass, which means
you're
even less capable.
You're going to be even more frail. So now, instead of starting where you're at right now, being able to, what's your squat? Let's just throw out
405.
Okay.
405.
405. You can squat 405 right now. In 20 years, if you stop what you're doing right now to go live your life, go on these extravagant vacations and all that other stuff, if you go do that now, and in 20 years you start training again, where are you going to start?
115.
I bet 100. Lower than that. Probably lower than that.
And here's the thing: you don't have to put off having fun.
No,
right? You end up working that, working this into your schedule. We're not saying miss time with family and don't go on vacations. And like you begin to like, this stuff fits into your life. But it's like the whole rocks and sand in the glass analogy, right?
Mm-hmm.
You put the rocks, you put the important stuff in there first, and all this stuff kind of filters in around it, right? And so we don't live a physical lifestyle anymore. We have not lived physical lifestyles in, say, call it 100, over 100 years.
Yeah.
Right. And so, and we're paying the price. So metabolic syndrome, is rampant, right? So diabetes, high blood pressure. What else am I looking at? Obesity,
joint issues,
all sorts of, like, that stuff is rampant. Primarily, one, diet, but at the same time, because we don't have the physical activity necessary to keep that stuff staved off. So train, and guess what? You will be more physically capable in the immediate near future, and you can continue to do all the stuff that have all the fun that Josh was talking about. Like, for example, I haven't come across a candy bar that I didn't like. Right? I have an enormous sweet tooth, and to a certain extent, I kind of don't avoid it, because you can't. Well, why you can't outlift a bad diet. Lifting heavy does cover a lot of sins from the diet perspective. Mm-hmm. So I can indulge in certain things because of the discipline that I carry with my training.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not just. Well, let me take a step back. One of the things you did say in there is, like, it's not something that you have to do all the time. Training is not 5-6 days a week.
3 times a week.
2 to 3 days a week is what you need. 2 to 3 days a week. 3 is optimal, 2 minimum. But
for an hour and 15 minutes a day.
That's it. You can get it all in that time.
So we're talking about, let's just call it an hour and a half, right? That's 4.5 hours a week.
Yeah, that's it. And I guarantee, if we were to sit there and check your phone right now, how many hours a week, how many hours a day on average are you scrolling on your phone?
I'm going to plead the fifth.
It's probably at least 4.5 hours a day. To cut that out, add that into the week somewhere, boom, there you go. You've got that time back. You've got that time to train. So again, this is our first podcast we're doing. This is a little awkward, choppy, whatever. We're going to get better at this.
Meandering path into, to why you should train.
And we've covered a lot of things, from why you should train, what sets us apart from everyone else. What this podcast is actually going to be, and that's going to be answering those questions that of your fear, or why you're not doing this, and whatever other excuse you have. That's what we're here for. That's what we're going to do. And we're going to continue to do that. You go from this one.
All right, guys. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this one up here in a second. But if you like the podcast, go ahead and subscribe and leave us a comment.